Welcome to Cruise Through HTX. My name is Freddie Cruz. This is a podcast for those who want to learn about the individuals, organizations, and businesses that make the greater Houston area great. And today I'm talking with a dear friend of mine who happens to fit the mold in more ways than one. Her name is Megan Cardette. She and her fiance, the late great Bob Allen, who you know from TV from back in the day, the two of them co-founded A Place for Peanut, which is an equine rescue and therapy program. They rehabilitate horses like minis and full-size horses, race horses, and donkeys that were sent to the slaughter pipeline. They rescue them, they rehabilitate them, and then they adopt them out. It's an incredible place out in New Ulm, Texas. And at the time of the recording of this particular episode, it was right before the Houston area got decimated by that storm and the tornadoes that affected it. Now, A Place for Peanut, even though it's like an hour and a half away from the city of Houston proper, sustained some pretty bad wind damage. So if you're listening to this episode, you learn about what they are doing, and I'm a member of the board. So if you learn about what we're doing at A Place for Peanut, this sounds like your jam. We absolutely welcome any donations. No amount is too small. Every dollar makes a difference in the lives of these innocent animals that Megan and her cohorts have saved from the slaughter pipeline. So you can check them out at aplaceforpeanut.com. And if you enjoy this episode, please consider sharing and subscribing from my website, cruisethroughhtx.com.
Hi, I'm Ed Sheeran. This is Bruno Mars.
Hey, it's Katy Perry.
This is your man Flo Rida with Freddie Cruz.
This is AJ Mitchell with Freddie Cruz.
Freddie Cruz.
Freddie Cruz.
Let you go pick Mr. 305 and you already know what it is.
My name is Freddie, and it's time to cruise through HTX. Megan, tell me about the day you met Peanut.
The day that I met Peanut, I was at my friend's rescue because she had rescued Peanut from the slaughter pipeline. And she was just a tiny little foal amongst many horses at her rescue.
How much smaller was she than now?
Size of a dog. She was tiny.
What kind of dog?
Smaller than a lab.
Small. Oh,
yeah, she was small. And I just went home and I was like, oh my God, we can't leave her there with all those big draft horses, because she was in the mix of everything. You know, she was with everybody. And I'm like, oh no, we can't do that. She needs to be separate.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I got to ask, because we go back years. I still am just the biggest numbskull when it comes to horses. So do they intuitively know that, okay, I'm 8 foot tall and 500 pounds, or however much a big horse weighs. I'm 8 foot tall, 500 pounds, and there's this little bitty baby foal, and I know that I'm not going to step on it. Do they know that or not?
Well, you know, I think that they don't know their size, because I have some miniature horses that are so tiny, but they think they're huge. They think, you know, because they challenge the draft horses.
Napoleon syndrome.
Yes, like little Superman. And then we have the big drafts that are like over 6 feet tall, and they think they're little teddy bears. That's we call them. They're gentle giants. But they, you know, they know better. They stay out of each other's way. But you know, one swift kick and that baby would have been history.
Yeah.
So I mean, you shouldn't really have your little horses with your big horses.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so A Place for Peanut founded. We're going on 8 years in operation, and I met Jane, who's on the board. I met Jane before I met you. I met Jane along with Casey Curry back when she was on Channel 13. This was 2017. So you all survived Hurricane Harvey and then COVID. Mm-hmm. So talk to me about Harvey and what it took to get through that mess.
You know, I think what really hurt us worse than Harvey was the tax day flood. That's the day that no one expected. We knew it was going to rain the next day, but we didn't know it was going to rain like that. And I was out there the day before, and everything was fine. I go home. I wake up to the rain, and people are saying, oh, my God, it's flooding, it's flooding. I couldn't even get out of my driveway, much less get to the other side of town. It was already flooding. So what was really nice about that if there's anything nice about it, is the whole community came together, and I'm behind the keyboard like, we need help, and so many people came together, and I met so many amazing people that day that are still part of us and help us when needed. But the horses, some of the miniature horses had to be rescued by boat because it was so
Aw,
deep. And then
yeah.
and then a lot of our horses had to, they're rescue horses, and so some of them are a little bit wild or timid. So trying to corral them off of a property when they're already terrified is pretty difficult. But they did a good job.
Almost like herding cats.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And with the flooding, because even a big horse can still drown in that kind of stuff, getting caught up in I guess what you got in the, not a tidal wave, but the flow of.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, because the creek was right next door to where we were, and so Little Cypress Creek, and it floods over there. So it could have easily have gotten in there and got swept down the current.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
some of them had to swim out, and then the little ones had to be rescued by boat.
So horses do know how to swim.
Oh gosh, yeah, they're excellent swimmers.
Okay. Not many though.
Yeah, they can swim.
They can swim too.
But this was a baby. It was a baby.
So did not know because it just for the simple fact that it was a baby.
Yeah, it was a little foal. So she was born. Oh gosh, she was probably a month old.
So is this a mini foal or
a mini foal?
Oh my God.
Cadeau.
Oh.
No, it was Vita.
Vita. Oh, I love Vita. She's so cute. I mean, they all are. They're all beautiful. They're like little, just
I know they're so cute.
stuffed animals.
They are stuffed animals.
I mean, they're fuzzy little.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then in the summer, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so talk to me about the first, because I feel like this right here, this conversation that we're having, which is eventually going to lead into like how people can help a place for Peanut, because we can never have too much community helping these animals. So talk to me about the first horse that you all adopted out and how that motivated you to keep this going and be like, okay, yeah, I think we're onto something.
Okay. We had, so in the first group that I took from my friend that had the other rescue, there were about six horses. And another one was Max. He was a tiny little black mini. He was so cute. And, of course, everyone that came over just fell in love with him. And so, when a good home comes along and they qualify and they check all the boxes and it's going to be an amazing home for that horse, you can't say no, even though you're in love with that horse, because you want what's best for that horse. So Max was probably the first one that we adopted out, and he went to a fabulous ranch as well. Mm-hmm.
And this year, is this one of those fingers crossed, let's not jinx it, or are the horses going up to Ozark?
She just filled out her application today, and so she's going to do the vet check, I believe, sometime next week. And if all goes well, which it should, then he will be adopted. That one horse will be adopted and go up to the Ozarks.
Yeah, isn't that I mean, and I saw the pictures of this place. It's ginormous.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
not
want to live there.
And and not that the ranch in New Ulm is, I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at. It's a beautiful place, but when you're talking about an adoptable animal that we're trying to find a forever home, I mean, you could not ask for a better property for it to go to live out its life.
Right.
Yeah. But, some of these horses are not so fortunate. And one of my favorite stories about Megan is the one where she, at 2 or 3 in the morning, is saving a little horse named Spice and putting her in the back of her Mercedes SUV, which, as you all know, is definitely not the size of a Ford Expedition. So putting little Spice in the back of this SUV after negotiating with these jackasses who run the slaughter pipeline. So some of these horses are former race horses on the competitive, in the competitive market. They're racing, they're winning, and then all of a sudden you're done, you're no good, you're of no use to our family. And so that's how these people see these horses.
Yes.
So can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so a lot of these horses, of no fault of their own, end up at their, the wrong place, the wrong time. Maybe someone in the family has passed away and they didn't leave instructions for their animals. And so the horse ends up with maybe another family member that's really not into horses. And, they're just thinking of maybe they're going to sell the property and they're going to sell the horses on the property. And the next people don't know what to do with it. They just end up in the wrong hands. Or maybe it was sold at auction. And then, we all know what happens to auction horses. And then the Amish that work, the Amish people work with their horses as, they use them as their tools instead of using tractors. So when those horses are old and crippled, because they will become crippled from pulling, God knows what, and plowing the fields and all of that, then those horses are sent to auction as well.
This is like the $1 million question. If John Doe has a horse and John Doe passes away and John's family is like, oh, well, we don't want the horse. And so we're just going to look up we're going to Google places to take a horse. And then these animals, humans, these subhuman monsters pop up. And then they're like, okay, we'll take them to Billy Bob.
Oh, absolutely. So they'll step in and they'll act as a family unit. And they do that a lot. And
wait, okay, the people that are taking the animals to ship to slaughter.
No, they like the kill buyers.
Right, the kill buyers.
They will show up as a family to try to trick people into giving them their horses or selling them their horses, and then they take them back to the kill pens.
So they're acting as if they are legitimate, like, oh, hey, Megan, we'll take your horse.
Absolutely. So I had one pony that was the cutest little pony. And so the Coggins is a blood test that comes with the horse.
A
Coggins?
Coggins. Like Coggins?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so I'll try to look on the Coggins to see where these horses come from. I mean, a lot of times it just says, the actual kill pen, and then it's a dead end. But sometimes it'll have the person's name on there. So one time I called these people and I said, hey, I adopted your little pony. Did you know where he ended up? Oh, yeah, we sold him to a really nice family we were at this auction, and we sold him to this really nice family. And I said, no, ma'am, I just want to let you know, you didn't sell him to a family. You sold him to a kill buyer, and he was in the kill pen. But he's safe now. I have him. And if you have any more animals that you want to sell, please reach out to me and contact me. And she said, oh, my God, they acted like they were going to take that horse. And I said, yeah, that's what they do. So, yeah, you just have to educate people.
How often does that happen?
All the time.
How is that even legal?
It's not. I mean, maybe it's legal. I don't know. I think it's just people don't care. They have no heart. How could you kill a horse? They have no heart.
I mean, really? And okay, so some of the slaughter pipeline, I mean, these horses are getting sent out of the country to places like Mexico and other countries in Europe where it's actually legal to eat meat. But
so they ship. Okay, so like in the northern part of the United States, they ship them to Canada, and down south we ship them to Mexico.
By the way, our northern and southern neighbors, it's legal to use horses as meat, right?
You ship them to either one of those places, and they slaughter them and send the meat to overseas.
Okay. Oh, so the Mexicans and the Canadians don't necessarily eat horse meat.
I don't know if they do.
I feel like that's Googleable, but yeah. I should Google that. But my internet's terrible over here in the office. But wow. Okay, so in Europe, it definitely is legal.
Yes.
And it's sad because, so many Americans are like, why can't we be more like the Europeans? It's actually, no, you know what? There's some ways I think we're okay as being Americans.
Yeah. So another person that's on our board, she was having a conference call with some of her European colleagues, and she was telling them she was on the board of a horse rescue, and they're like, what? I don't get it. Why? Why a horse rescue? Well, because they slaughter them, and they're like, so?
Yeah. It's just an animal. I mean, and it's just to some people, it's just, that's just their animals. And and so Mike here is saying American horse meat is considered a delicacy in Europe and Japan. Mm-hmm. Its cost is in line with veal, so it would be prohibitively expensive in many countries. Kazakhstan is one of the largest consumers of horse meat, right behind China.
Just like the dogs.
Just like the dogs, and they do have dog festivals.
Yes, it's awful.
Yeah, it's I mean, for all of its fault, say what you will about the United States. I mean, there really are a lot of things that are admirable about us, collectively speaking. Obviously, there are terrible cases.
There are, and there's people that think of it as a business, like the kill buyer. He says, I had a sit down talk with him. I'm like, how do you do what you do? Do you like horses? Yeah, I like horses. Well, how do you knowingly send them to slaughter? You know what they're going to go through. Megan, it's just a business. I said, well, it's not too late to change.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was born into it. I said, I don't care. It's not too late to change.
Right.
It's just a business to them.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the ways that people can help A Place for Peanut. So you are a realtor in the Houston area. You are with very little help operating this nonprofit in New Ulm.
Mm-hmm.
You have a small board of volunteers, small paid staff. Talk about some of the things that, like, for context, how much it costs to feed a big horse and then a little horse like Peanut.
Well, a little horse like Peanut doesn't cost much because they really don't require very much grain. Actually, you could just feed them coastal hay. So they're a lot easier on the pocketbook. It's the big horses that cost a lot. So, and the cheapest part of owning a horse is buying the horse. That's the least expensive part. And then it's their health and all that. So you've got to pay for their supplements. One of our horses, his supplements are $100 a month. That what he eats is $32 a bag, and he probably goes through a bag in a couple of days. Then he's got his coastal hay. Then he's got his alfalfa. So that's excluding vet bills and shavings for their stalls and all that. So I would say probably $750
A month.
per big horse.
Per big horse, and maybe about half that for a mini?
Oh, yeah, not much at all for a mini. Maybe 200.
So if all of this is not enough, we're talking Megan rescuing horses in the back of her SUV, saving horses in boats from the tax day floods, surviving Hurricane Harvey and COVID. Megan is doing all this while being one of Houston's premier realtors. So how do you do it? How do you do it all?
Well, thank goodness real estate you can do anywhere. So half the time I'm at the farm and half the time I'm in Houston. I try to be in Houston Monday through Friday and then at the farm on the weekends unless I've got to show some farms and ranches. Then I'm just wherever.
You doing just houses or houses, farms, and ranches, or only?
I do all of it. Homes here in Houston and then farms and ranches as well. All the way up to Austin. So I've got some new business coming up in Austin on Lago Vista soon.
So Houston, Austin, in between.
In between, yeah.
In between. Okay. And you're through Hot Pockets? Prop?
It's Hot Properties Group, and it's hotprop.com. It's HAUTEPROP.com. And we give back to Place for Peanut with every closing.
Hot Properties. I've got the jingle in my head for Hot Pockets.
Are you gonna do a jingle for me now?
We might just have to. No, actually, I think that what the jingle might be trademarked, the harmony or whatever.
It might be.
Yeah, hotprop.com. So yeah, check her out. If you want to buy a house or sell, Megan's your woman, and it all goes back to A Place for Peanut because that's the mission. That's your purpose.
That's absolutely right. Yes.
Yeah. She's a great friend. I'm proud to call her a friend. Thank you so much for visiting and being on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.